Hi, today I'm going to show you some kit that you would take out with you possibly if you were going somewhere overnight. Just little bits that you could chuck into your backpack, and really just how cheap that it can actually be, because you don't have to spend the earth to do it. First thing I'm going to show you is this water bottle. Now, water is one of the most invaluable things that you are going to need. These water bottles, you can get some really nice ones for about £5 from places like The Range or Class Olsen. This one I actually got a few years ago from Poundland. I believe they sell these quite regularly, and it's aluminium as well, so you can actually boil water on fires with it if you need to. It holds 500 millilitres, so it's actually quite a good size to be taken out and about with you, and it comes with a nice little carabiner clip. The other thing I keep with that is just a basic tea towel. As useful as these are for drying things, they're also really good for filtering water and keeping you cool with, and also you can use it just to patch things up a little bit. So I always keep that with my water bottle just in case I need it. One of the other main things that I take with me everywhere are obviously my knives. Knife-wise, if I'm not taking a big knife, I take quite a few little ones, which is why I've got a few here. The three that I carry, the one that I carry pretty much everywhere with me is a Gerber LST, which this knife, if you live in the UK, don't carry it around with you because it's a locking knife, and if you get caught with it, you'll be in big trouble. But it's quite good for making feather sticks with. You can strip bark with it. You could probably quite easily skin something if you happen to catch any kind of small game with it. But it's quite a decent knife. I don't really rate the handle because it's plastic. So it is quite comfortable though, and quite easy to use and easy to sharpen. So it's a nice little versatile knife. The other thing I tend to carry with me is a multi-tool. I will normally preferably carry a big one, but a lot of the time if I'm only going out for the day or overnight, I'll just take the little one, because a pair of pliers is quite useful, especially in wet weather, just as a better pair of hands really. But this one's got a small knife on it, it has screwdrivers and things, it also has a rather pathetic little saw, but the saw, which I'll tell you on later, I do use for other things. Things like this are usually quite inexpensive, so like I said, this one's a standing one. I think I bought this was about £10, and I've had this for about 7 years now. But I was on Class Olsen's website a few days ago looking at some bits, and you can actually get a small one like this with a very small pocket knife, which to be fair, the pocket knife's probably not much cop. And it comes in a little tin, and it was £5 or £6. So that you can get them pretty inexpensive. The other thing I carry is, again, it is a locking knife, so in the UK don't carry anything like this around with you, but it's just a Stanley knife. Pretty much because if I want to make small strips of bark, I can do. If I want to cut some tarpaulin or some cotton like my cloth, just to make a bit of char cloth or anything, it's very easy to do that with that, and I can make some pretty clean cuts. The same as if I have got new blades, I have used this in the past for basic first aid stuff. If I need to like trim off a bit of skin that's overhanging or anything like that, a razor blade is very valuable. Not to mention the fact you can actually have a quick shave with it if you need to. To go with my knives, I have two sharpeners. Normally, if I'm generally just out and about for a little bit, I have a small ceramic sharpener. Again, these very inexpensive. I picked this one up for about £4, £5, something like that. Ceramic sharpeners, bit of a technique to using them, but they are very effective, and it worked very well with my LST. But for some of my bigger knives, or for any of my modified knives, I have a kitchen sharpener with a whetstone on it, just does something a little bit different, but that sharpens everything up a treat. Now, as well as my knives, I also, if possible, have an axe, just purely because obviously if you're making fire, you may need some bigger bits of wood. If you can get away with carrying an axe, obviously do so. If not to worry, you can make do without, especially if you have got a bigger knife. Now, once you've got your wooden things, obviously you are going to need a fire. I believe quite heavily in the carrying 3 methods to start a fire. The main one that I would make sure I've always got with me is just a normal petrol lighter. Lighter's obviously a good old failsafe. This one, I've got an actual Zippo, but I actually bought this from Poundland a few years ago, and it served me quite well. It does drink fuel quite quickly because it's only a cheap one, but just as an easy way to light a fire, does the job. I have a ferrocerium rod. It does throw off quite a few sparks. This one I picked up from Cotswolds and I only paid £5 for it actually. The striker's not much good, which is actually what I use the small saw for on my multi-tool because it throws out more sparks. But all round it's a good little rod. It will light most tinders very quickly, so ferrocerium rod's what you need most of the time. With any fire starting stuff, you're going to need tinder. So for that, I have tins that I use for a lot of things, and a trusty pencil sharpener. Now, pencil sharpener, most people won't think to put it in their bag, but a pencil sharpener, if you can find your small twigs, especially on a wet day, you can start sharpening your twigs, and it will give you fine shavings off the top of dry bark from the inside. It's actually easier to light a fire with. So if you've got one, chuck one in your bag. If not, 20p, job done. Now with my tins, each one has different things in, so what about people's girlfriends first? In here, Rizzlers. Very, very flammable, obviously, because they're used to make cigarettes with. So obviously if you are struggling to get any dry tinder, you can always rely on the old Rizzlers. Got a couple of cotton wool balls, a spare lighter and matches, just to be on the safe side. And it keeps it all dry in my tin. With my tins, sometimes I will just put a turn of duct tape on them just to make sure they stay closed, especially if it's wet out. I then have this one, just natural tinders. So if I'm out and about and I see anything that I can use as natural tinder, if I can store some up, I will do. It's a bit off some bulrush at the minute in there, but it does happen to keep it nice and dry and store it safe for you. In the third one, this is what I'd typically use as a char tin. I've got some cloth which I can use to char, which I haven't actually done yet. But again, these tins are really, really cheap. You can pick these up from most off licences. Again, places like Poundland do sell packs with Rizzlers and a lighter in. And it just helps keep everything dry and in one place and easy to grab. Especially if it's starting to get dark. Some people tend to panic and they can't get the fire going. At least everything's in one place for you. The last thing that I use for lighting a fire, if all else fails, is in this little pot. This is a menthol gel. You find this a lot in menthol stoves. I've just scooped some out and put it in a travel bottle just for ease. But this stuff is extremely flammable. The contents of this bottle will probably burn for about half an hour, 40 minutes. So a little goes a long way. Typically, just put a bit on a bit of dry cotton wool, stick that under your fire, and it'll get it going very, very quickly. Now, alongside that with my kit, I always make sure that I've got lots of little clips and things because I'm quite sad and I like to attach anything I can to my belt or to my backpack. So I always carry some carabiner clips. The other thing I have got are military snap bands, which they're called a number of different things. I do wear them, but I actually make these. There will be a video I will put up of me making these, so you can figure out how to do it. They're actually really cheap to do, but also if you make them in various lengths. So these two are they're actually longer than my wrist. So what I'll do is I'll use these to strap things to my backpack. You can use them to pop wood together, or you can even just use them as handles. They're just a little bit comfier if something breaks down for you. They're a very versatile piece of equipment, considering the whole thing cost me less than 20p to make. So really fun to make and good to keep with you. Excuse me. The other things that I will always carry are some kind of ropes. So I do carry a small reel of rope just in case I need it in an emergency. There's not a great deal there. Sometimes I will carry more. I have got a bigger ream of rope that I carry that's in my cupboard. But we've also got, I keep some guy rope, which this is actually the guy rope that I use to make some of my snap bands, because you don't just have to use paracord, which is what a lot of people will use. And I have some paracord as well. So obviously you can use the internal bits of your paracord for snares, fishing line or anything like that, as well as it being really, really strong. But it never hurts to have some spare string with you or rope. So always pack a little bit. And to be fair, when you buy guy rope, really even guy rope like that, it comes ready wrapped, so it doesn't take up too much room anyway. The other things I carry more so than anything are little luxuries. I have a GoPro Hero, which I typically will take out and about with me, just so I can film some bits for you guys. And binoculars, just so I can see what's about. Plain and simple, really. The other things I will carry, which I feel are more of a necessity, torches. I have a number of torches. I have more torches than a man could ever need. But I typically take a head torch with me. I do have this, which is a Cyberlight my dad gave me. I do like this torch because it has two functions. One which is a standard bulb, the other one has 3 LEDs. So depending on what you're doing, you can have a torch for all occasions. It's quite weighty as well. If you want to be a bit more malice and use it for other things, then you can do. I think it's a good substitute to a mag light, which obviously used to be the good old-fashioned all-rounder torch. Cable ties. Most people will overlook cable ties. Cable ties can pretty much save your life. They're stronger than most things. You can use them to secure things around camp. You can use them to hold things together. You can even make makeshift handles out of them, or traps. So they're always worthwhile having. The other thing I have got on here is a slingshot, which you can use for hunting. But to be fair, a lot of the time it's just recreational messing around with. I also have a map measurer, which has a built-in compass and a whistle attached, just in case I get lost, which you believe happens more often than not. This little bag, I've learnt the hard way to carry. This is my first aid kit. In here I have alcohol gel, I've got some bandages, assortment of plasters, triangular bandages, which not only can double up as waddings and tinders, but also are a lot better than me using something like my duct tape should I cut my leg, because the last thing you want to be doing is peeling duct tape off a hairy leg. The other thing that's in here, and I always make sure I've got, is an emergency foil blanket, simply because this can do a multitude of things. You can use it like a ground sheet, keep you off the floor. You can also use it as a signal mirror, you can use it as a firewall, and also you can use it as an actual blanket like you're supposed to. So it's always pays to carry an emergency blanket with you. I do always carry duct tape. Duct tape, I've found, is one of the most useful tapes known to man. You can make wallets out of them, which again I'm going to do a video that'll teach you how to make those. I've made pouches out of them. You can use them to patch up tarps. They're extremely flammable, so you can use it to start your fires with. The possibilities with duct tape is ridiculous. So if you can get a roll of duct tape in your bag, I know it's quite bulky, get it in there. You can make a makeshift roll of duct tape just by flattening some card, put a few turns of duct tape around it so you've got a little bit to take with you. The other thing I've got is one final thing that I use for me personally in my little pouch is I'll always carry, just in case I want to challenge with a fire, nice magnifying glass. So it helps when looking for things like splinters as well, but if all else fails and you fancy a challenge in the summer, you need no rush for your fire, magnifying glass can come in handy. So sometimes I do slip that in my bag, don't always take it out with me, but sometimes I will do. But the very last thing I have are my gloves. Now, as anybody knows who's ever been outside, pretty much as soon as I've been outside for more than 10 minutes, I've got half the earth all over my hands. I've probably got cuts all over me from Christ knows what. So finding a good pair of gloves is really useful. These type of gloves, I've had this pair for quite a long time now. They're really versatile. I bought these for about £3.60 from Wilkinson's a few years ago. You can pick them up offline pretty inexpensively for a couple of quid. I also found out recently that the pound shops sell these now. Really durable on the front, thick pads on the back, nice and breathable. So if you are picking anything like wild edibles and you start messing with stinging nettles, watch the back of your hands, because it'll hurt like a bitch. So other than that, guys, that's everything that I would hopefully try and take with me on a little overnight stay. If you have any questions about it, just pop a comment underneath and I'll let you know. And if you want to know anything about the kit or where I got it from, just simply ask me, and if I can remember, because some of my kit's quite old now, I'll certainly let you know. But other than that, thanks for watching. Cheers!